With some careful camera smithing and a bit of editing trickery, I could make this video using just the Edge 840, but I'm a complete wink shaft, so I bought a 540 as well. Here's another film to justify the purchase. So then, Edge 840 versus Edge 540. Which to choose? Clearly the main difference is the 840 has a touchscreen and the 540 does not. Buttons only does it have. And that's 98% of the analysis complete. Turning to the 2% of irrelevant bits, then the 840 has twice the storage and comes with 2 regions of map data. There's no impact on day-to-day ride recording, but 540 users need to download and switch maps each time they go transcontinental. And there are approximately 2 differences on the software side. With the 840, you get a couple more destination search options in sat-nav mode, and you can also use it to create structured workouts on the device. The first of those is theoretically useful, but in practice I rarely use this feature anyway. And number 2 isn't even theoretically useful. In the fantasy nether region, where I'm creating my own structured workouts, I just use the Garmin Connect app. Aside from that then, the 840 and 540 are near on identical. Deep breath time, they're the same size, same display, same USB-C charging port, same battery life, a surprise given the 840 touchscreen, but there you go. Same set of sophisticated training features, same super duper improved Climb Pro, same set of Ant Plus or Bluetooth data diddlers with which to connect, same smart trainers with which to control. Solar charging is an option on both, and in both cases I suggest you don't take it. Oh, the 540 does have this light grey strip around the edge and it says 540 on it, so there's that. And that brings us back to the method au control, which, TBH, Roffle Imho, is all that really matters. First, some truths. Fact 1. The 840 has a touchscreen. You can control everything on the device. Whittle around it, select options, navigate the map, input whatever needs inputting via the medium of digit on glass. The 540 doesn't, and you cannot. Fact 2. The 840 and 540 have the same brace of buttons. For the number wangers amongst you, that's 7. They do the same things on each device. This is relevant, you'll have to trust me, for 'twere not always the case. The prior generation 830 did not have all the same buttons as the 530. You were reliant on the touchscreen to use its full feature girth. The 840 now does, and hence you now can. Final fact 3. Both devices can now have every single one of their settings nipple tweaked from within the Garmin Connect app. I'm not sure how this figures in our impossible mind multivariate analysis, but I throw it out there in the spirit of sharing. Now,
let's get subjective.
I find the 540 perfectly usable as a buttons-only device. Garmin revamped the Edge UI with this generation of computers. It's more modern and clean. Features are accessed with fewer taps or clicks through menus and submenus. And said new UI works well with just buttons. Having used the 840 first, I assumed I'd find it painful having the touchscreen option removed. I and me were both ass. It's fine. In fact, it's good. It's only more cumbersome as a control method on the map screen, switching between direction modes and zoom, and for inputting letters and numbers. There's no getting around the map point. But if Madam is a frequent on-device navigator, Modem may want to jump straight to the larger screened Edge 1040 anywho. For the inputting and, I don't know, renaming stuff, well, there's the Garmin Connect app for that. Fact 3 was relevant after all. So subjective message 1. The Edge 540 is a perfectly valid choice. I doubt you'll miss the touchscreen much, even if you've used one in the past. But what about the 840 and the touchscreen? In short, it's also good. In tandem with the new UI design, the touchscreen makes the 840 a pleasure to use. As mentioned, it's significantly better as an input method for navigation and mapping. You just scooch around the screen, zooming in and zooming out with the ubiquitous pinch and akimbo. The screen is responsive and accurate in both dry and wet conditions. It's not quite smartphone level, but then the Edge 840 is more robust, with a much longer battery life. And you don't want to get your iPhone 37 wet. Before all the rants begin, I remind you that this is all in the subjective bucket. Not everyone is blessed with electroconductive fiddle fingers. For me, it's one of my core skills and features on my CV. But based on comments on my videos and blog posts, I see fewer complaints about the 840 touchscreen versus prior generations, which analysis is about as double-blind, statistically accurate and peer-reviewed as you'll get round these parts. But what about with gloves on? It's actually okay. It works about 75% of the time for big stabby motions. Fine fingerwork is, of course, out. But that's where the additional buttons come in. Now the 840 has all of them, you can simply switch to button control, and this works seamlessly. You can use either method interchangeably whenever the desire consumes you. You don't even need to wear gloves. All of which is a long way of saying that the 840 is basically the 540 with a touchscreen, which you probably already knew. And it costs more, which you probably already guessed. Frustratingly, for those of us that speak the language correctly, that difference is £100. For a merryfolk, the 840 is only $100 more. So which should you buy? The accepted wisdom is that the 840, now it has all the buttons, becomes the go-to choice. Fine, if you have the money, you should go for it. I'm a big fan of mine. But if there's any message to this video, I do try occasionally, it's that the 540 remains an excellent choice. If you want to save some money or your fingers don't get on with touchscreen bike computers, the 540 is great. And maybe button-only bike computers are cooler in a retro steel-framed record player kind of way. If this brief comparison has whetted your winkle, I've reviewed the Edge 540 and 840 in more detail. You can watch those videos here and here. Maybe here.